Everyone is waiting for Altseason, but structurally it is already cancelled. Not delayed, not early, cancelled. And this has nothing to do with sentiment, narratives, or hype, but it has everything to do with cycle structure. And right now, according to the structure, we ran out of time. Altseason is supposed to be inevitable. Bitcoin runs, money rotates, and alts explode. That's the story we have been trained to believe. But that's the problem. When you actually measure past alt seasons, they follow a very specific structural rhythm. And that rhythm, guys, is not present in the market anymore. Now, let's be precise, because most people aren't. Alt season is not just about altcoins going up and exploding. When you hear the term alt season, you have to understand that we have a capital rotation taking place away from Bitcoin and into higher beta assets. Now, right here we have the crypto market cap excluding Bitcoin. Let's take a look at the alt season that happened at the end of 2020, beginning of 2021. After we had the confirmation of the 4-year cycle low for the crypto market, the bottom has formed and the cycle started to expand. If you take a look here, in every alt season, 3 things happen all together. Number 1, Bitcoin dominance breaks down sharply. What do I mean by breaking down sharply? There was a structure, let's measure right here, since the bottom of the 4-year cycle. And Bitcoin dominance breaks this structure aggressively. At the same time, alt's market cap expands impulsively. Pullbacks are quite shallow and short-lived. And here's the catch. If any of these items is missing, you don't get alt season like we had here in 2020. And now that begs the question, fundamentally, why didn't we have alt season? And I'll tell you 2 reasons. Number 1, we had liquidity dilution towards over thousands and thousands of altcoins. If you check on Twitter, you are going to find over thousands of cryptocurrency being launched every single day. That was not the reality right here back at 2020. So the first dilution of liquidity is towards a lot of cryptocurrencies being created every single day. The second dilution of liquidity is AI. Over the past 3 years, the biggest narrative circulating across the market was and still is AI. And you have to understand, guys, that liquidity, especially when it comes from retail, is limited. So the majority of the traders cannot just simply invest in everything that is being hyped. More often than not, they are going to allocate a good part of their portfolio to whatever the narrative has the biggest potential of bringing profit back. And right here, back at 2020, 2021, we only had crypto market narrative. It was the biggest hype. Even if you compare back in the day with metaverse, remember that we had metaverse? I mean, it just died compared to crypto. And right now, crypto died compared to AI. That's the sad reality that especially for all of us who trade crypto have to accept. We lost liquidity to AI. Now, this was the first reason, liquidity dilution. The second reason is the fact that since 2025, we are in a recession. If you have been following my channel long enough, you know that since October 2025, I said that we are not going to have alt season because we are already in a recession. Just look at the job market that I publish here almost every single week. But this will only make sense later this year when they paint it back to 2025. So risky assets, historically speaking, do not perform well during recessions. Thus, we are not going to get alt season like we had back in 2020. Now, let's take a look at the current structure. First things, lower highs. during the years. Lower highs, short and weak rallies. Let us compare just so you can have an idea. In 2020, we had over 500% of rally. During this last cycle, we had 124, then 87, lastly 71. So you can see right here that the alts market cap was losing momentum. Last but not least, the pullbacks were strong. Notice something important here. Rallies are getting shorter and pullbacks are getting longer. This is exactly the opposite of how Altseason used to work back in 2020. And here's where the cycle comes in. From the cycle's perspective, the top of altcoins happened at the right translation of the cycle between the bottoms. So right here we have a right translation peak, and then before the next bottom, Altseason started to lose its momentum. So here's the catch. If you take a look at the next bottom, which potentially is going to happen at the end of 2027, here we have the midpoint of the cycle. Guess what? The peak was subtle compared to this one, and again, at the right translation side of the cycle. So what does it mean for us? When the market cap of alts crossed the midpoint between the bottoms, this to me means one thing only. We are running out of time. So Altseason will not happen again, because the probability that alts are going to lose much more market cap only increased after the midpoint. And also, the other factor that everyone missed, Bitcoin dominance did not break structure. Take a look at this. Compared to 2020, an aggressive breakdown of the structure, rally of altcoins. What did we have now? We had a trending up Bitcoin dominance with a gentle break of structure. But when this happened, everyone was screaming Altseason is right around the corner. When was that? At the end of 2025. But guess what? By then, we were already right translated. And after that, I still have no idea how I see so many crypto influencers talking about on Twitter that Altseason is coming. Guys, come on. The alts market cap lost momentum and Bitcoin dominance is flat. Where the hell is Altseason coming from? We already have a retest of the value trend line of the 4-year cycle, just like we had back in 2020. And now we are still trending down towards the next bottom. What is going to happen next is exactly a consolidation of alts, which is going to last at least 1 year. Now, this is where most people get trapped. In a bear market, the brain looks for hope. And I still see people talking about Altseason because Altseason is hope. But you gotta understand that the bear market already started at the end of September of last year. In bear markets, capital does not rotate. It bleeds. That's why you're gonna see some isolated narrative pumps. But all of that is just liquidity trap. Just stay away. Now, here is the part that you need to watch very carefully. Altseason is only back on the table if one thing happens. If the next rally after breaking the value trend line of the yearly cycle holds it and then expands impulsively, then and only then the cycle shifts back into expansion, while at the same time Bitcoin dominance gets crashed. Now, what if it fails? If it fails, it doesn't mean it is a delay. If it fails and we see like gentle breakups, Bitcoin dominance flat or trending up, it simply means that we are going to have a weak Altseason. Face reality, guys. This doesn't mean that alts go to zero, but it just means that we gotta get our expectations reset. We gotta understand that liquidity is limited. There is a bunch of narratives going on right now, especially during bear markets. They do not reward diversification into risky assets like altcoins. During bear markets is a really test of selectivity and patience. And this is exactly what I want you to learn from this. You can have whatever narrative you want. It's not just the fact that Bitcoin dominance broke out or Altseason market cap is expanding. But here's the most important part. Cycles are in control and everything else is narrative. You gotta understand that there comes to a point where it is just not sustainable to talk about Altseason. I mean, it's gone. But again, I'm not saying that Altseason is gone for good. I'm just saying that this is what we had this cycle, and that's okay. What you gotta do right now is be patient, wait, accumulate, and then we're going to get a bottom again in the future. Hopefully, we're gonna get some expansions. But again, you gotta remember that we are talking about an extremely competitive alt market. Every single day, we have over thousands and thousands of altcoins being launched. That dilutes liquidity. So it's simple. That narrative that I see most on Twitter is just liquidity trap. Don't fall for it. And here's the question I want you to think about and comment below. Do you really think Altseason is delayed or cancelled or replaced by something structurally different this cycle? And more importantly, what would invalidate this analysis for you? Because that level is what matters next. If you want updates when this structure shifts, not hype, not narratives, just pure analysis. Make sure you're subscribed. The cycles are always dominant, but some people still choose to ignore. Thanks for watching.